Hey, thanks for being here today. If the volume isn't okay, I know Avery will adjust me, but hopefully you can all hear me. Perfect. Sounds good. So good morning. Welcome to Commonplace Church. My name is Mike Hall. I'm a proud member here at the Commonplace Church. I'm also an elder at the Commonplace Church. So as you heard, Pastor Josh is not here today. He's enjoying the last day of his vacation. I'm not usually up here. So if you're new, please come back, even if you don't necessarily like me, because you'll have a chance to see Pastor Josh next Sunday. So again, I know you heard some of this, but if you are interested in connecting with us, so if you're a brand new person who's here, maybe you've been here a few times and you haven't filled out a connection card yet, you may have received one when you came in today. There's also some connection cards by the door. Fill that out. You can drop it in the offering box, and then our ministry coordinator, Chad, will go ahead and enter you into our database, and we will make sure that we follow up with you on a regular basis so you get all of our announcements and hear about cool stuff that's happening. And we promise we won't sell your information to anyone. Okay? So fill out a connection card for us, and yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So for the past several weeks, actually probably more like several months, we've been looking at Jesus' friends. So we were curious, who did Jesus hang out with, right? So I think there could be a misconception that Jesus was hanging out with people who were doing the right thing, right? The people who were living a quote-unquote perfect lifestyle. So some of you may be surprised to learn that it was actually quite the opposite. Jesus was hanging out with people like me, people like us, people who needed help, people who were trying to reach our community, who are potentially broke, hurt, need help. Those are the type of people that Jesus is hanging out with. So that could be potentially a surprise for some of you. But today specifically, we're going to look at the parable of the Good Samaritan. Okay? So that is in Luke chapter 10. We're going to go through verses 25 through 37 today. So you can follow along in your Bible. You can do your Bible app. They're also going to be on the screen. Because this is a parable, the way I want to do this, I want to read through the parable because it's a story. I want to read through the story in its entirety. And then we'll circle back around and we'll break everything down into verses and really dig a little deeper to try to figure out what the key message is that we're supposed to take away from this. And then my goal was always to try to tie it back to real life. So what you should take away from it, but also how you can use this parable in your daily life to become a better Christian. So I have two questions for you. So if you're somebody who takes notes, my wife takes notes, so I knew she'd be writing this question down, so you have to think about them. I don't want you to forget them. We'll talk about them again at the end. Two questions. Have you ever wanted to help someone, but rather than helping them, you altogether ignored that person, and you went about the rest of your day? Totally forgot them. So why did you choose not to help, and how did you feel? So that's two questions right there. I have actually wrote three questions for you. So have you ever refused to help somebody, and then how did you feel when you did not help that person who needed something so badly? And then the third question would be, how do you love your neighbor? Who is your neighbor? But how do you love your neighbor even when it's hard to do? Okay? So that's what I would refer to as what Pastor Josh would refer to as kind of the big idea of this sermon is, how do you love your neighbor even when it's a hard thing to do? Okay? So let's go ahead and read through the parable. I am going to go ahead and take advantage of the Bible app here. So the parable of the Good Samaritan, it starts again, Luke chapter 10, verse 25. On one occasion, an expert in the law stood up to test Jesus. Teacher, he asked, what must I do to inherit eternal life? What is written in the law? He replied. How do you read it? He answered, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. You have answered correctly, Jesus replied. Do this and you will live. But he wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, and who is my neighbor? In reply, Jesus said, here's the parable, the story. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too, the Levite, when he came to the place, place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. Look after him, he said, and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expenses you may have. Which of these 3 do you think is a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robber? The expert in the law replied, the one who had mercy on him. Jesus told him, go and do likewise. So that's the whole entire parable. Some of the commentary that I went over when I was looking at this, I think it's interesting to note that Jesus doesn't refer to this as a parable. We see it as a parable. I think it's important to note that this is likely based on true events. This is based on things that have happened. Without basing it on something that has happened, the story definitely won't carry as much weight to the point that will be proved throughout. So I think it's important to note that this is something that likely actually happened. This was witnessed, and Jesus is now telling the story. So the question is, why is he telling the story? So you heard at the very beginning, he's being tested by someone who we refer to as an expert in God's law, an expert. So we could call this person a lawyer perhaps, would be the modern day title here. Verse 25, on one occasion an expert in the law stood up to test Jesus. Teacher, he asked, what must I do to inherit eternal life? So because Jesus, we know, is a crafty guy, right? He totally flips the script on this guy, and he answers the question with a question. He asks him, what's written in the law, right? Because you're a lawyer, you're an expert, you tell me. So that's the first point, which I think is kind of neat. The other thing to note, too, you look at the expert here, and you might be thinking, all right, this guy's out of line, right? He shouldn't be questioning Jesus. That's totally inappropriate. It was expected that rabbis would discuss theological matters in public during this time. So it wasn't necessarily an out-of-line question. The problem was it was a big question with a bad motive, okay, which we're going to get to as we go through this. So the question was totally fine. But Jesus asked him again, what is written in the law? And he replied, how do you read it? He knows what's in there. So in verse 27, he answers, love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. So he knows the answer. And Jesus goes on and confirms later in the next verse that he's correct. I mean, the bottom line is here is that nobody can fool Jesus, right? He understands from the beginning exactly what's going on here. Okay, this guy understands the law. There's something a little deeper going on here. So he already understands the motive and what's happening here. It's going to get a little heavier here in just a second, because Jesus says, well, you have answered correctly, so do this, and you will live. Like, you would think that's it, right? That's simple. You know, we've gotten to the core piece of this question. This man fully understands the law, so now Jesus surely has other things that he would like to do. He's got more people he needs to talk to and heal and do all sorts of amazing things. And he surely had to move on with his day. But this guy is still attempting, this expert is still attempting to validate himself. Okay, so that's where the motive is at here. This expert in the law is refusing to apply the lesson of the parable to himself personally. So to justify himself, because what he's doing is, and we do this so many times, we try to wiggle out of the situation. But does that really apply to me? And the expert again asks in verse 29, who's my neighbor? Okay, so now he's after like, okay, where is my out, Jesus? Okay? When you say neighbor, do you mean the guy living next door to me? Do you mean the guy down the street? Like, who's my neighbor? Who do I have to treat as my neighbor? And then, who can I just dump on? Right? It doesn't matter. So he's looking for a way out here. And potentially he hasn't been a good neighbor, so that's why he's trying to justify his own, perhaps previous behaviors. So, again, most likely in disbelief of the man's boldness, Jesus breaks it down for him. Okay? Because Jesus is a master storyteller. He uses that medium to get his point across. So that's the long answer. You probably knew that based on reading. But that's why he's telling the story. Is we have this guy who's really trying to justify probably what his own actions are, to figure out who his neighbor is, figure out where there's wiggle room. And ultimately, it wasn't uncommon for people to try to test Jesus. This is just the way it was. Okay, so again, somebody else just trying to trying to corner him, prove him wrong, make him say the wrong thing. So some historical background here, or maybe not necessarily historical, that might be the wrong word to use. I want to take a look at some of the things that were happening between the different groups of people who we see in this parable. The first thing is, what is a Samaritan? So when you hear Samaritan, oftentimes we think, right, the Good Samaritan. That's what the parable is about. And we typically use the term Good Samaritan or refer to somebody who's done a good deed. Usually it's for a total stranger. Sometimes it may even be done anonymously. Okay? There are at least 6 people who we're going to kind of profile that are in this parable. So there's a man who was attacked, there's a priest, there's a Levite, there's a Samaritan, and then there's some robbers. Okay, there's at least 2 because it says robbers and it's plural. So we assume there's at least 2 people there. So the priest, what you should know about him is he's a Jewish priest who was simply passing through the area. Okay, now we know he passed on the other side, totally ignored the Samaritan. He was likely on his way home, perhaps from something, a religious event that he may have had at the time. We also see that there's a Levite. A Levite is a member of the Hebrew tribe of Levi. Probably the easiest way to explain this is they were assistants to the priests, okay, during worship at the temple. So again, another high-profile religious figure who also simply passes by. So obviously we know there's a Samaritan. The Samaritans, as the commentary calls it, they were half Jewish, or what again the commentary refers to as mixed breed people, who were taken captive by the Assyrians, intermarried, and they settled in a place called Samaria, which is north of Judea. Okay, so half Jewish people, so that's who the Samaritans were. We know the robbers, like there's not a whole lot to tell there. They took the stuff, they beat them, they left them for dead. The other thing to know is that this is key to the parable. There was a deep, deep hatred between the Jewish people and the Samaritans. Okay? The Samaritans, on occasion, would reply to that hatred by dumping the blood of a pig, which is considered an unclean animal, on temples that were under construction, newly constructed, recently renovated, whatever you want to say. So you can imagine, like that right there. They like to make the Jewish people mad, so the Samaritans can go and they dump some pig blood on their temples. Now I'm sure there's things that happen the other way around. Okay, so these 2 groups of people, I don't think one is potentially more guilty than the other. But what you need to know is there was a deep, deep hatred there between the 2. And the things that they did obviously probably fueled that hatred on both sides of the aisle. Okay, so verse 30, in reply, Jesus said, a man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. So put yourself in the position of the man who was attacked. Okay, I mean, think about that. How would you feel? You've just been attacked, 2 robbers. I mean, right? This is the story we're hearing, but you can certainly apply this to your own life. This is something that could realistically happen. You get attacked, you're robbed, you're left for half dead. How would you feel? Would you be desperate for help? I mean, wouldn't that be a time where even your worst enemy, you would think, like, come on, have some mercy on me, right? The other thing you need to know about this road is, so they were on their way from Jerusalem to Jericho. It's about, based on commentary, about 17 miles of road. So on a donkey, like, right? Not an incredibly long trip, probably that time period, but it was dangerous. It was rocky. There were lots of places where certainly robbers could hide and jump out. And even on a good day, it was a really treacherous stretch of road. So just things to kind of take into consideration here as we paint this visual picture of where this guy's at. Probably a very isolated area. There's probably a few passers-by. I rode my bike that I got so far 2 times on the Bald Eagle Valley Rails trails, and so I envisioned something similar to that. Like I'm kind of isolated out there. Like somebody wanted to push me off my bike, and it'd be a while probably before somebody came by. It's somewhat isolated out there, so I'm envisioning this type of environment probably much more dangerous than the rails trails because I doubt they had people clearing their paths like that. So verse 31 is where we're introduced to the priest. He happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So he made no attempt to help. He went so far as to pass by on the other side of the street. So we can make up excuses all day long. Why did he pass by? there's tons of excuses we can make up. He was afraid the robbers would come back. He didn't want to become unclean by helping this injured man. But the key part here is he was a priest. So for me to look at, it's further proof that your title does not define who you are. Okay? So we've all heard the term, if you're gonna talk the talk, right? You have to walk the walk, or maybe it's vice versa. If you're gonna walk it, you gotta talk it. Whatever. Same thing here. This guy totally just passes by. How many times again have you passed by someone who is experiencing a difficult situation? Okay, so I stand up here with total humility. When I preach, I try to apply these things back to my own life, and one of the things that's amazing is this is only the second time I've done this. I always feel so guilty because I apply this back to my own life, and I think about situations that I've been in where I know that I've walked past people who I could have helped. Two particular situations came up recently that I thought of, and again, it puts me probably in a terrible light, but again, I'm human, and I'm here to share that, and these are my mistakes, but how many times have you walked past a panhandler, right? Maybe you've been in a large city where somebody's asking for money, or maybe it's happened right here in Lock Haven where somebody's asking for money, they're asking for food. How often do you say, I'm just going about my day? That's their problem, I'm going to do my thing. That has certainly happened to me. I remember I had a friend who was from a suburban area of Philadelphia. When I was in college, he took my wife and I to Philadelphia, for the very first time, inside the city, walking around. And I remember I was just amazed at how desperate people were to take your money. And it just felt so wrong. He took us up one of the big streets there that has everything on it. I can't think of what the name of it is. Maybe it's Broad Street or something like that. But I remember, he's just just keep walking. And I remember these people were is there any change? And I just kept walking. And the further I walked, it just felt so wrong. So, again, I had a woman approach me at a gas station one time when I was on vacation. It looked to be a very shady situation. Again, I'm being very judgmental. She's with a car full of men who are standing outside the car, and they send her up with a gas can. And she says, can you put some gas in my can? And I'm like, no. I don't know. See, it makes me look bad. I've got family in the car, and maybe after today you'll just think I'm a terrible person. But how many times does that happen to you, where you walk by somebody who could use some help? So those are my stories. So I'm really not a bad person. These are things I'm continually trying to get better at. So too, in chapter 30, in verse 32, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him pass by on the other side. Again, similar to the priest, really the same thing. Another religious figurehead who simply passed by. He knows the law. He should have felt called to jump into action, but he didn't. And again, we can make up excuses all day long. Perhaps he was afraid of the robbers, and they would return, and he would meet the same fate. This is an interesting thing. How many times have you refused to help? Maybe not necessarily because of how you feel right away, but fear of retaliation, criticism from your inner circle of friends. Okay, that one hurts because that might make you analyze who am I hanging out with, right? Or concern about how you will later be perceived. If I help this person, what are my friends going to say? Then it's probably time to go back and analyze your friends. But that one can particularly hurt. You're sitting here today and thinking, well, that might be something I've thought about in the past. To break down verse 33, we finally see the Samaritan. So here's the good guy, the protagonist, the hero of the story. As he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. Verse 34, he went to him and bandaged him his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. Okay, so here's the good guy, the good Samaritan. He knows nothing about the man who's laying in the street, but he's more than welcome to stop. Okay, so he's a good guy in our story. Based on what we know, he knew none of this at the time, probably, because this man's half dead. Here's two guys who should be natural enemies, right? Society tells them they should hate each other, okay? And we'll get into some of this later, and I think it's the bigger picture of the message, too. I mean, what does society say about groups of people? How many times have we seen this? Two people, society says you should hate each other, and that's the way it's going to be. He used his own oil, and he used his own wine to clean the man. put him on his donkey, the Samaritan's donkey, and put him up in the inn. So I could ask for a show of hands. I won't. I don't want to put anybody on the spot today, right? But how many people here would pick up a total stranger, share your most expensive wine that you may have with you? Maybe you're traveling back from the wine shop, right? You'd offer a ride in your car, and not only that, but then you drive the person over to the Fairfield Inn and you pay for them to stay there. I mean, it's a lot to ask, right? But that's exactly what the Samaritan did. Okay? So he's taking this guy, verse 35, the next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. Okay? So here's where the Fairfield Inn comes into play. Look after him, he said. When I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense that you may have. So we're talking 2 days. So not just 1 day at Fairfield. Now you're paying for 2. 2 or more, potentially. Okay, so that's a lot of money. So I was curious, like the denarius, how much money is that, right? So I looked into this. So a denarius is what your typical agricultural laborer would receive for a full day of work. Okay. So now that's referenced in Matthew chapter 20, verse 2. It's the parable of the workers in the vineyards. I don't even think I just pulled these numbers out of thin air. I went back and looked at other stuff. So I wanted to compare it to today's standard, right? Because we're trying to apply this to our own lives. So how much money are you taking off out of your bank account to help somebody? This is a very non-scientific approach, by the way. Okay, so if I have anything wrong here, if anybody has a calculator out, forgive me if I made a mistake. So let's assume the farmhand, we'll compare them to the farmhand. This is some of the data that I found, right? They make $11.61 an hour. Let's assume they work a 40-hour work week, and let's assume they work a 6-day work week. Okay? Now my friend James Warren would disagree with me on this, right? He's probably working way longer than 40 hours a week, right? He's probably working sometimes 7 days a week. 1 denarius, we'd say $77.40. Okay? That's 1 week. So if we give up, if he gets 2 denarii, that's a whopping $154.80 paid out of his, that you would be paying out of your own pocket if we're trying to compare to an equivalent. And you'll likely need more because you know that the hotels, with your hotel, it's going to tack on state sales tax or local tax. Depending on where you take them, you might have a resort fee. Okay? So you've got all these extra expenses now that you need to think about. But in all seriousness, we learned everything about the Samaritan happens right in these 2 verses. First of all, we know that he cares. Okay? So the guy has a conscience because he's seeing what's happening here and he jumps into action, he cares, he gets involved, he takes action. Probably maybe one of the hardest things to do is that he has resources and he uses his own resources to help a total stranger. We also realize too that he has a solid reputation. He has to have a solid reputation because he tells the innkeeper, it seems like the innkeeper trusts him, right? It's like, here's 2 denarii, and I'll check back on him, and if you need more, I'll pay you. There's not a lot of times people are going to roll in somewhere and just, they're going to be like, that's cool, pay me when you get back, right? Usually payment's required up front. So it makes you wonder if the guy's been through the area before, he has apparently some sort of reputation or some sort of relationship, at least with the innkeeper. So verse 36, which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? So we're done with the parable now. We hear the story. We realize what he's done. This is the moment of truth, right? You got the expert sitting there. At this point, Jesus has to be thinking, I hope he gives me the right answer because I don't know how to break it down. Actually, Jesus probably doesn't know how to break it down yet. But he's hoping the guy answers correctly. And the expert replies, the one who had mercy on him. Is what Jesus tells him. Then he tells him, go and do likewise. So the man, Jesus confirms it is the man who had mercy on him. Go and do likewise. Finally, this guy gets it. It's a done deal. No further questions. But the most important piece of this passage might be the final statement of Jesus, go and do likewise. The hardest thing to do. Okay? So I think that's probably the whole challenge of the parable, is go and do likewise. That's what it all ties back to. So the question is easy to ask yourself. Well, the first question, maybe the third question is, who is your neighbor? And how do you love them, even when it's hard? You might have somebody in your mind right now. Who is your neighbor? Your neighbor could be anybody. Your neighbor's your fellow man. Okay? It doesn't mean the person who lives next door to you. There's not like the neighbor's house who's 15 yards away from you, 30. It's everybody. Okay? It's your neighbor's everybody. And you're to treat your neighbor as you would want to be treated. So, being a good Samaritan or a good neighbor, what does it require us to do? So this is kind of the actionable part of it. The first thing is it requires us to be perceptive. Okay, nobody had to tell the Good Samaritan the man who was lying half dead on the road needed help. And that was easy. He didn't wait for him to mumble or moan that he needed help, right? The guy was laying there half dead. He was perceptive. You need to be compassionate. I think that's also, these are all very hard, could be a very hard thing to do. Ask how you would want to be treated if the roles were reversed. And you might say to yourself, well, that role will never be reversed. I'll never be in that situation. That's a dangerous thing to tell yourself. You have to put your differences aside for that person. How hard is that to do? In the day and age we live in, how hard is it to put your differences aside? And quite honestly, sometimes the differences are very, very small, minor things. You have to be selfless. Helping someone will most always take your time. It will. It's going to take time to help somebody. In some cases, it's going to require your resources. That could be money, it could be clothing, it could be food, it could be multiple things. The other interesting thing about this is the follow-up. Now, the Good Samaritan was committed to coming back and following up to make sure that this man was okay on his road to recovery. Okay? So it's an investment. To help somebody and do it the right way can be an investment. Not only of your resources, but your time, your commitment to follow up with that person. Some of the things that I've been thinking about, some people may say, well, my resources are an issue. You may be thinking your financial resources. Is your budget so tight that you can't set aside $5 to $10 a week and put that into a separate area where you would use that for somebody who needs help? Okay, these are small things that you can do to try to take action and take a lesson home from this parable. The other thing is you have to be a risk taker. So it might be difficult to give away. It is difficult to give away your own resources. I'm not going to say I haven't made it. It is. For most people, to give away their resources is difficult. You should expect nothing in return. So for a lot of people, that can be difficult, right? Yeah, I think we live in a society where some people might say, if I give it, I feel like I'm going to get something in return. Maybe that's a material thing that you think you get in return. Maybe you feel like you're going to run counter on Jesus' charge of heaven. You should expect nothing in return. A couple areas here, a couple of additional stories. There have been times where I've been generous. And there's a feeling that you get, and I've talked to a couple of people, and I can't necessarily pinpoint exactly what the feeling is, but if you've ever wanted to help somebody who's on the street, wherever it may be, there's a feeling that you get when you're about ready to take action. And I don't know what that feeling is called. I think initially there's some anxiety involved because you may be running through all the things in your mind. Maybe you have a budget of your own money for the week and you're trying to figure out, can I make this happen, but I need to make it happen. It could be a mix of anxiety, fear, and excitement. Because you know you're about ready to help somebody, but you're a little bit scared too. I can't put my finger exactly on it. It's one particular emotion that you feel. I also had somebody tell me just last evening, because we talked about the world we live in is very dangerous. What if I help somebody and then I'm attacked, right? What if it's a setup? What if I fill up that lady's gas tank and then, a bunch of guys from the car jump me, right? So we live in a society where I think we have to think like that, but we still have to be sensitive to the fact that people need our help. And somebody told me last night, if you see somebody and you feel called to help, and you pass by, there will be something. That feeling that keeps coming back to you that tells you I should have helped, I need to help, even after you pass by. That's a feeling. That's a feeling coming from Jesus. Okay, that's the feeling you get when you know you should help. Okay, but you have to be in tune with that. You have to be listening to that. A couple months ago, there was a lady at the local Sheets here. Some people have seen the lady at the local Sheets. Maybe I understand there's a man who stands there at the Sheets in Mill Hall too. Drove by there, we were on the way somewhere with kids, and something hit me. And again, what I shared with you in the beginning, you're like, well, Mike's a jerk. It would be odd for me to have this feeling like I need to help that woman. She needed food, right? That was their whole thing. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to try. And I'm talking to Chad Long about this. And I went to Burger King. He's like, why didn't you go to Sheetz to get her food? I don't know, I went to Burger King. I didn't know she was like hot dog, right? So I went to Burger King, I got her this meal, and I went up to this lady. The people in Mill Hall were mad at me because I was walking off the Sheetz driveway. It was a mess. So I pulled my car up and I went in, and again, I had that feeling. I'm like, well, maybe she's going to reject me. Maybe she doesn't want my burgers. So I go up to her and I had 2 cheeseburgers and I had a drink and all the fries and all the stuff. I stood there and I talked to her for a while and I said, you know, here's some food. I said, I just bought it. Here's the receipt. When I told this story to Chad, he thought it was particularly funny that I was so concerned that I made sure I told this woman that I didn't do anything with food. So I don't know, he just thought that was odd, but there's a lot of cruel people out there, right? So I made sure I let her know, look, I didn't do any of this. I hope you'll accept it. I hope it helps you. So there's one instance in my life, right, where I've been nice. Okay, but I'm trying to get better. Okay, so I've hopefully turned a corner here. You'll see me in a new light. But I also understand when people tell me, oh yeah, I've seen a man that stands there too. And you know, when I talked about this woman's story, she's like, yeah, I ended up here because I was in a relationship and all this good stuff. And I was like, okay. And now I think, well, maybe they're just making this their thing, what they do. Maybe it's not a one-person operation. So I was a risk taker, right? There's potential that maybe somebody doesn't need as much help. But you know what? I felt called to do it, and I never get that feeling, and I did it. Okay? Jerry Pearson was telling me the story yesterday. Well, actually, I first heard from Pastor Josh, and then I let Jeremy talk to me again yesterday. I didn't share his feelings, and I knew the story already. And he told me I could share it, so I will. Yeah, he was a risk taker. He drove one day down to like the biggest Wawa in the country. I think they're pretty limited. Anyway, in Philadelphia, that's the biggest Wawa. And he came out of there because he loves their soft pretzels, and that's all he went there to do was go to Wawa. And he comes out and he's walking around, he gets to get the bag of stuff, and he has a soft pretzel, and he decided to just take a little walk through that general area of the city. And I don't know where that Wawa was at, so again, maybe smart, maybe not. But he walked around that part of the city, and he came upon a lady who was like, hey, I need something to eat. Hey, Jeremy's a nice guy. He's like, here, I have a soft pretzel. And the lady said, I don't want a soft pretzel. She said, I want a Wawa. So yeah, I mean, there's risk, right? There's a chance you could be rejected. And I think, you know, Jeremy said he walked away and he didn't feel so bad. She didn't want his pretzel, and he's like, well, I don't have a hoagie. And he wasn't going to go back and get a hoagie. So again, you know, you have to be a risk taker. You could get rejected. So these are all things to think about. What stops us from being a good Samaritan? This is interesting. We place blame on the hurt, injured, or broken, right? And we may say things like, and I sat down and came up with some of these phrases, and again, you're going to look at me and say, Mike, you seem to have a lot of these phrases. How did you come up with these so quickly to prepare for your sermon? You may say things like, they put themselves in this situation. Good for them. They got what they had coming to them. Yep, just when you think our situation is bad, honey, it could always be worse. Take a look at that guy. Okay? God is punishing them for their disobedience. I help them if they help themselves. I mean, how many of those phrases can we hear ourselves potentially muttering? You know, maybe we're having a bad day. Maybe that's why we're saying these types of things. But again, it's reality. I think we're afraid a lot of times to reach out and help somebody, and I think maybe one of the biggest issues is we allow bigotry to guide our decisions. Okay, and that could not only racial prejudice, but I think probably more today than ever are political differences. I mean, how many times on Facebook do you see true hatred between two people over a political thing? Which, again, I won't get into that, but I mean, come on, there's bigger things to worry about here. The other thing, too, is you've heard this since you were in preschool. And if you're a parent, you're teaching it to your kids, you've already taught it to your kids. Treat others the way you expect to be treated. Okay? It's the golden rule. Our church right now, to wrap this up, we're at a time where, if you're not involved, because I encourage you to come back and be involved, where we're trying to reach out to our community in a lot of different ways. Okay? And the people who we're trying to reach are the people who are hurt, who are broken, who need our help. If we're going to have a prejudice against those people, we fail already before we started. Okay, so that's one of the key things I think we need to keep in mind here. We have a lot of exciting things that are happening. There's a lot of committees planned to do some great things in our community, but we have to put that stuff aside. You may say, well, how can I start this today? Am I supposed to, bake an apple pie and take it to my neighbor? You could, but you can start this by praying for your neighbor. That's something you can do right now. You can do it during the worship team stuff. Again, another thing, I've had difficult situations. I recently came into the shop in the morning and I shared some of that information with Jim Perry, who's one of our other elders. And, I've learned a lot from Jim, and I will tell you, this particular thing without shedding a whole lot of light on it. He looked at me that morning. I came in, got coffee, and he was like, "Yeah, I've been praying for you about it." And I'm like, "Thank you, I appreciate that." He's like, "I've also been praying for, XYZ person or persons." And I'm like, "Say what? You've been doing what?" Right? That's what I'm thinking, right? But again, we need to pray for our neighbors even if we have differences. It's probably one of the hardest things to do. It's why it's so hard to be a Christian. The last thing I want to say is music speaks to me. I like music. I like lyrics. I listen to pretty much all I listen to is the contemporary Christian stuff. There's a song that Mandisa sings featuring Toby Mac and Kirk Franklin. And you've probably heard this. The lyrics go like this: "We all bleed the same. We're more beautiful when we come together. We all bleed the same. So tell me why. Tell me why we're divided. If we're going to fight, let's fight for each other. If we're going to shout, then love me to cry. We all bleed the same. So tell me why. Tell me why we're divided." I'm not going to sing it. Sorry, Adrian, I'm not going to sing that. Physically, we are all the same. God has designed us to be singing. My heart beats with blood that flows through our veins. We all feel pain. We all get sick. We all have emotions. We need the basic thing. You need the same thing that your neighbor needs. So we are the same. So I challenge you to go out and treat your neighbor how you want to be treated. So that is the end of my rant. I hope I didn't go too long there. Hopefully you can take something away from that. And I'm gonna wrap up with prayer. I've got a lot of the worship team to come up here and adjust everything that I messed up for you. So let's go ahead and bow our heads in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you first for the Accomplished Church, and thank you for the people who are here at this church. We do have so many great things planned, and some of these things are already being put into action. And we know we're reaching out to people in our community who are hurt, broken. We need to be good Samaritans. So I would ask you if there's any prejudice here within anyone's heart that isn't allowing us to meet that mission, that you would soften those hearts today and not allow that to stand in the way of the things that we're trying to do. If we're struggling with a particular neighbor, I would ask that you would show some signs and give some answers of how we can deal with that neighbor. Because we know it's not hatred, and we know that it all has to be done through love. So, Lord, as we go out this week, let us remember this parable. Let us be good Samaritans. Don't allow us, as I am guilty of passing by so many times, but let us take action. Let us feel called